Hello everyone, it's Tetsu Live. Sorry I had a little problem getting on, but here we are. I am bringing you breaking news tonight with the Army Corps of Engineers announcing that the DAPL easement in North Dakota, Standing Rock, it has been denied. Our own Pete Perry was on the scene in Washington, D.C. in front of the Army Corps of Engineers headquarters, in front of the GOA, or General Accounting Office building, in which they are housed. So a lot of us progressives are celebrating, and this is a great win. And let us remember that tonight's victory is not due to Obama, but it's due to us, the people who have traveled to Standing Rock, who have bared witness, who have shared with their friends and family the greatest issue of the day. And we're still quite resolved to see this through. As you know, Obama sort of pulled a fast one on us in October when he said he'd look at the situation and review it with the Army Corps of Engineers, and then proceeded to simply let two other pipelines go through. Approved two other pipelines, and that is a shame. And is this the Obama legacy, where a man who he elected gives talk to climate change but actually does not accomplish anything? Where is the actual agenda, Mr. Obama? Where is the actual work and actually improving the situation around climate change? And I think, suffice it to say, the issues here speak to all of us, because I'm going to just pull up in the comments. Hey, and they speak to all of us because not just the climate change aspect of it, but it relating to Native American rights, drinking water, and so many other issues that have coalesced around this, right? So this is a great day for us, great evening for us. Again, check out Pete Perry, a little earlier on. And we have other people, on the ground in Standing Rock. We have Chelsea Lyons, who I think she's traveling with Jordan Cheriton of the Young Turks, who actually, had a very ebullient announcement in Standing Rock. And we also have Ed Higgins. So these are two live streamers that you'll find on our page, on our YouTube page. I'm hoping that you'll subscribe tonight to our YouTube channel right here. So if you haven't done that, please go ahead and just click that little like button or subscribe button down below. And I think my personal role here at RP is to give you a little more analysis, to step back, so to speak, and get you not the 30,000 foot view, but a little deeper into what exactly our politicians and the corporations are doing. I think other people, besides myself, are speak better as to the actions that are going on around this, our reactions. Pete Perry, our activism lead, and the Chelsea and Ed, who are on the ground in Standing Rock. They can give you very up to the date minute of what's going on there, and that's great. Others of us, like myself, try to inform our activism leads and people as to what we can be focusing on. And I'm going to do a little bit of history tonight. I'm going to do a little bit more digging into the Obama legacy regarding climate change. And I want you to be upset about the legacy of Barack Obama and what he has left us with, what he is leaving Donald Trump with. And hopefully you can share this with your friends who are still fans of Barack Obama, who are still hoping that the Democratic Party will change. There's very little evidence of this, and let's step into it, shall we? So, in the description below, we have a quote from a famous environmentalist, maybe the leading environmentalist in the world, actually. His name is David Suzuki, and he's from Canada. If you haven't seen his videos, his speeches, his talks, I highly recommend it. So one of his career-capping speeches that he delivered in Perth, Australia, I believe, maybe 6 years ago, when he was, or 4 years ago, when he was 76, he's now 80 years old, was that he said, we need all political parties to believe in climate change, not just one. And this was a question and response from the audience about, what about the Green Party? So, this guy, Suzuki, David, he's so far ahead of us in terms of analysis that, it's kind of takes you aback that he's like, oh, Green Party, whatever, But that's the hard, cold reality, is that we can't just rally around one, group or party that believes in climate change. We need to convince everyone about the reality of climate change. And so that is what he's come up with, this statement. Hi, Sandy. So again, we need all political parties to believe in climate change, including the Republicans. And let me add to that, to Suzuki's very insightful statement, that we need the Democrats to not just talk about climate change as if it were real, but we need them to act. We need them to push a heavy agenda, legislation that not just curbs moderately the excesses of corporate pollution into our air, into our water, into our ground, into our food systems, and we need them to walk the talk, if you will. And one person within the Democratic Party today that is doing that is Tulsi Gabbard. Probably that is on the Real Progressives Facebook page. It certainly was on mine. And we see that the coverage, is done just like people like me, right? Someone with an iPhone or mobile phone and just decided to hold it up and film Tulsi speaking, and seconds later it's on my Facebook page. So yeah, any one of us can become the media. Citizens Media is gonna help us get to a place where we need to be. So just a little comment now. I discovered this channel a few months ago and hooked on Steve Grumbine's honest take on economics. This channel needs to get a lot larger because these are important topics. And yes, thank you for that comment. Steve speaks forcefully about modern monetary theory. I highly recommend the latest video on this YouTube channel. I think it's just going to be below this one, where Steve tries for the first time to sort of graph it out a la Robert Reich style. And he gives a very simple analogy of a bathtub, being sort of the pool of monetary dollars, if you will, coupons, etc. And tells you the inputs, tells you the outputs, and sort of breaks down the illusion of what dollar bills actually represent. And when politicians tell you that there is no quote-unquote money for certain social programs that benefit everyone, they're feeding you a lie, whether they know it or not. Now, President Obama. The first link here is a shocker. It came to me via The Guardian, and this is published 5 days ago. Obama is using, what I've commented here, Obama is using climate change as a political issue, but hasn't changed anything. And the Guardian article is a revelation. It's written in part by a few researchers, one of who I've seen on YouTube, Suzanne Rust, and she's a professor at Columbia University. She's studied the frankly obscure agency of the Export-Import Bank, which is part of the purview of the executive branch under Obama. And what it is, the XM, short for Export-Import Bank, is an agency that has, while Obama has promoted his agenda of clean power, which would potentially save 2.5 billion metric tons of CO2 emissions into the atmosphere over a 15-year period. What Barack Obama has also done is allowed the Export-Import Bank and many of the corporations who get this funding and get these global deals all around the world. We're talking Boeing, we're talking ExxonMobil, we're talking 70 fossil fuel projects over the same time period. And over that time period, the CO2 emissions from the XM Bank projects would completely wipe out any gains made from Barack Obama's green energy plans. So we have a energy neutral or CO2 pollution neutral president. And this is, we have projects right on the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. We have, it's astounding, India, various places around the globe. And we have Dow Chemical, we have Saudi Arabian oil and gas companies. We have quite a list of LNG projects, liquefied natural gas. And let's see, we have a comment here from Melanie, a fellow RP. Levels of methane are even more dismaying than the CO2 emissions. Yes, they are. Levels of methane from living organisms. It's not just a joke that, cows, emit methane gas and contribute highly to destroying the environment. There's a movie out called Food Choices, and it strongly advocates a plant-based food diet for many reasons. The main argument in the movie Food Choices is that human beings are just that's just the way we're built. The science is leading towards that conclusion. I think in 10 years, the so-called paleo diet and other fads of this day will be seen as just as farcical as, low cholesterol and anti-fat diets. Melanie's actually talking about fracking. Right, I'm talking about diet, but, all these things are related. Personally, I was a vegan for 13 years. After reading this book, actually, it's called Diet for a New America. This is a very early book on a sort of comprehensive argument for veganism, as it was known back in the day. Now it's known as plant-based food diets. It does go into the environment. It does go into animal welfare and the like. So, but back to Obama. Now, the second article, a Rolling Stone piece, Obama and climate change, the real story. So those two should start you off, and they should actually get you to question very seriously as to the sincerity of Barack Obama. It's not just enough to be the first president to come out and say, I believe in climate change. Do humans emit methane? Yes, we do. So, I believe we do. I'm not sure, Sandy. So, yeah, don't don't let your friends kid themselves when they say, Barack Obama is the president who's going to save the world. One of the scariest moments for me personally during the election is, climate change scientists pointing the fact that we have reached 400 parts per million in the atmosphere of carbon, CO2 particles, and that's it. The game is over. The tipping point has been met. All right, so getting in line with the story of the day, that being DAPL hopefully being halted permanently, we shall see. I just wanted to give a little more knowledge as to, the physical reality of gas and oil pipelines. I have a couple of videos here for you. One was actually shared at the same time on my page as Sandy's. Sandy lives in upstate New York, a fairly rural area. A place where people actually hunt their own venison and might actually process or skin and get the natural resources from the deer themselves. I've actually seen this. Let's see. Obama ran a progressive and governed as a corporatist. Yes. So maybe the millennials can be persuaded to go plant-based. Yes. Some of us are too old to change. Yeah. Okay. So there's a absolutely horrendous video of a bubbling, nearly aquifer of gas, very near to a water aquifer or a stream, drinking water source. That's the first link. It's a Facebook video. And I just have some Wikipedia, southern tier of western New York. Okay, that's I think Sandy mentioned something like Tarrytown or Amish country. Oh, very interesting. The Wikipedia articles, my friend reminded me of one of the original, pipelines, the Trans-Alaska pipeline. The Alaska pipeline. Maybe some of you who are old enough to remember the giant oil spill of my lifetime, coming from an oil tanker, an ExxonMobil oil tanker, and an alcoholic asleep at the switch, sea captain, and that was the BP oil spill of the day, a couple of decades ago. And just look at the number of incidents that the Alaskan pipeline has had. Some of them, thousands per year. And these are the reported ones. I've actually mentioned this before on my Facebook page, and another person came back right at me with a list of many other pipeline accidents and oil spills, the second and third links for you to look at. So, let's see, Melanie, second most prevalent greenhouse gas emitted in the United States from human activities. So in Melanie, yes, it is fracking. It is part of our diet. David Suzuki would say that the problem here is not all these living organisms. We just all need to learn how to consume less as people per capita. So it's not overpopulation, it's overconsumption. Now, I'm kind of stepping way back, and this is a thought I've had all throughout the election, and it's sort of the summation, culmination of many issues that I've been looking at closely throughout the year. And I think even the most new to social justice person recognizes class and race being the issues of America that hold us back. And it's sort of a chicken and egg kind of thing, and I threw it around in my brain for quite a while. What comes first, the chicken and egg, kind of question, race or class. And what I've sort of come to the what I feel now is that it's class. It's class that drives racism, and we see this throughout human history, not just through the events of American slavery or even Nazi Germany, which I'm going to get into here for a minute, but also just the beginning of civilization. Ever since man has been civilized, quote unquote, slavery has been around, and race is just a convenient, identifier for the elites of whatever time period you want to talk about. Going back to the Mesopotamians, really, Egyptians, to segregate people into being slaves. So, and one of the great myths, I would say, about World War II and Nazi Germany, and I bring this up because it is relevant today, because a lot of people see Donald Trump as this Hitler-like figure. So let's talk about that, and let's talk about Nazi Germany. Were the concentration camps strictly a racist phenomenon, or were they serving other purposes as well? And I think if you do your research, the Holocaust is pretty much the end result, and that is a racist phenomenon. Genocide is. But what people don't tell you in school, what they don't tell you in history books, is that the concentration camps were first and foremost labor camps. And I've posted a link here. Forced labor under German rule during World War II. And this will actually show you the 6 million slaves, Jews mostly, that Nazi Germany had going, working, producing the German war machine to overtake Europe. And, when you have prisoners, when you have forced labor, it becomes a cruel thing. It was obviously a very racist thing. I do not deny that, and I hope I don't hear that from anyone. But this is an extreme, version of classism. It's totalitarianism, and I've argued many times that Donald Trump doesn't quite represent that. But we do have, the people are right, people who make these analogies to Donald Trump being representing, proto-fascist elements like Nazi Germany. That what they don't understand is that it's already happening around us already. And in a prior talk, my last talk, the theme of that was Barack Obama has given Donald Trump all the tools to be fascist. It was an extensive talk, exactly how he's expanded his powers as the executive branch unconstitutionally to basically have this support this inverted totalitarian society that we have now. Humans, the only species to commit genocide, yes, and it's the failure of our gift of intelligence, and that gift being, according to David Suzuki, the only species on the planet able to foresee the future. If we have this unique ability among living organisms to foresee the future, why have we done this to ourselves? And that's a question I may never have an answer to. Let's see. We have the Nazis used Jews in every way they could. And when they could no longer use them, they killed them. Yes. And it doesn't surprise me that all the concentration camps were also labor camps. Yes, they were all labor camps first. And no more... There's a movie out. I I'll maybe talk about that some other day. It's a pretty controversial one, but I think it really put together what World War II was really all about. Now, so how do we relate, something like Nazi Germany, which is a class warfare on Jews, which then becomes a xenophobic movement against them, ending in violent genocide. This is exactly what we see with DAPL, and I think this is why DAPL has resonated with many of us as progressives, because we do see the same elements of Nazi Germany. And this is happening under Barack Obama, not Donald Trump. And while, anti-Trump people are correct in assessing, well, Donald Trump is just going to pass, Dakota Access Pipeline, and he's got investments in Dakota Access Pipeline. All this today is happening under Barack Obama, and we just saw that he hasn't done anything to move, for the 2.5 billion metric tons that he is claiming to have pulled back under his clean energy programs, clean coal, and etc. He has pushed forward with the Export-Import Bank. So DAPL represents the class warfare of corporations against the Native American people, ending in state police violence. Whether the oppressor is a giant oil company or a charismatic puppet of the corporate elite, as Hitler was, and whether the victims are Jews or Native American people, the end result is the same. It's violence against these poor people, and we see this in a militarized police force, actually military personnel on the ground against them, and this is always the pattern. This is what always happens, whether it's DAPL, whether it's other issues of the day. So that's this summation. Corporate power leads to slavery, whether by political means or by and if the political means don't work, then they will bring in the military or the police, and they'll get you to submit one way or the other. So, and racism and climate change are just the byproducts, sadly, if you will, of this system. The system that has been in place ever since slavery has been around. And that's a very dark, almost dystopian, not a future view, but just a view of history, right? This is, I know a lot of people, like to say, oh, America's so bad and all this stuff. And yeah, we are the bad guys sometimes. But this has been around since, humans have been around. And, I think it just took time to, maybe intelligence is just a gift that is going to take a few millennia to actually appropriately work with. And we see that in other countries. So this is the final section of my talk here. Let's see, let's get in one more comment. I see DAPL as our line in the sand. If we cannot stand against a corporation that's illegally using Native American land, then what will we stand against? That is why this is so important. I fully agree with that and endorse that that idea, the meaning behind it, and that's why we're working so hard at RP to promote this at the top of our feeds, and not just race consciousness, but action. So moving forward, so I've given you this sort of very dark history of civilization, if you will. slavery being just a tool of the elite of any era to build their own wealth at the expense of the majority of populations. And socialism, in Europe, in other countries, is a little bit ahead of us. I like to, think of things in the long view. And I'll just give you another parallel example. So a lot of Westerners like to think of Islam as, and I'm not talking just conservatives. I'm talking liberals too. They decry, the cultural norms of the Islamic religion, whether it's conservatives critiquing barbarity within Islam, things like Saudi Arabia's treatment of criminals. If you get caught stealing, they simply cut off your hands, public hangings, and the like. To the liberal, critique of Islam being patriarchal, and so forth. Let us remind ourselves that religions have a relative age, and Islam being a much younger religion than Christianity just hasn't had the mature length of time that Christianity has to fully integrate into the new reality, the new modernity of relative, world religions. And, let's remind ourselves that Christians had the same views of feminism and the like before, stoning of adulterers, etc. It's just age, right? A few hundred years can make all the difference. And even 50 years of political movements in Europe have put them way ahead of us. If you see the movie, Michael Moore's latest, not Trumpland, but his prior movie, Where to Invade Next, where Michael Moore does a whirlwind tour of the prison correctional facilities in Finland, or healthcare in Portugal, or drug addiction, vacations, family work-life balance in Italy, school lunches in France, etc. We see that socialist agenda has benefited a majority of people, not just the working class, but many of the interviews were with managers, owners of corporations, who gladly promulgated the benefits of instituting equitable pay for equitable work, for allowing human beings to be human beings, essentially. So I just gave you a few links here. Well, actually many, but socialist democracy in England, and this is a story that came out today in the Independent. Good news source, by the way, if you haven't looked at the Independent. Glenn Greenwald writes for them. And so there's a politician there. His name is Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn, his pronouncement today is that the socialist center-left leader, I should actually pull up the article for you so I can read the headline, and it's going to be buried in, I have, maybe 100 tabs open at any one time. It's kind of ridiculous. So I know it's before the oil spills. Here it is, Jeremy Corbyn. That's Jeremy Corbyn's Wikipedia page. All right, so maybe I'll skip over what Jeremy Corbyn said. But basically, he's like, people, you have to, adopt a socialist democratic agenda. The parties of England are bound to failure. And this is a direct analogy to politics in the United States. If you think that the Democratic Party is going to be the ones to save us, you're wrong. They failed us over and over. And they've only given us DAPL because we've worked so hard on this one issue. But they're not going to give us anything else. They're not going to, even Bernie Sanders is not going to deliver single-payer healthcare anytime soon. It's really up to us. If we want single-payer, if we want free college tuition, we have to fight for it. That's all there is to it. We have to get out in the streets. We have to be non-cooperative with the system to get it. And it's let's see, hopefully this will build back some momentum that's been lost over the past 3 weeks. I hope so. And I just wanted to point all of you out to what's happening in the rest of the world to inspire you, to invigorate you, to give you hope. And if you haven't been following on, America is one of these weird countries where you don't know what the rest of the world is doing. But we have 2.5 million people at one time protesting in South Korea. We have 150 million people in India on strike. We have the Brazil protests of this year and 2013. They rise up in the streets when corruption is found. So, the protests were related to the first female president of Brazil, Dilma Rousseff. It's sort of questionable as to whether she was actually guilty of the crimes of corruption, and she went through an impeachment. I actually just don't know. But this is what's happening in the rest of the world. France, protests are not an everyday occurrence, but it's very easy to mobilize in France. Whether it's, if it's as low on the issues as taking away student financial aid and higher education, they're out in the streets. 20,000, just like that, bang. And, we need to get there. I don't know how long it's going to take us. Like I said, Islam is a much younger religion than Christianity. We're a much younger country than Europe. And in addition to being younger, which goes against us, youth isn't always an advantage, I guess. And so we just don't have the progressive ideology that some of the socialists in Europe do. But we also have, we do have the problems of race. And my father's kind of cynical about this, but he just believes that Americans can't come together because we look at each other and we see different ethnicities. And he believes that socialism works in other countries because they're, homogenous. And it's easier to have empathy for your neighbor if he looks like you, or he or she looks like you and your family. Very cynical, but I think it's possible. I think DAPL has gotten a lot of people together. And I think it was done in a very respectful way, where we have a lot of, white progressives going there, being respectful, letting the Native Americans drive the agenda is very important. I've only had a couple experiences with Native American movements. I was part of the Leonard Peltier, free Leonard Peltier movement back in the day. And I knew my place. I knew what to do, what not to do. You let these elders drive the agenda. Be, respectful of their culture. And you, as my friend David Dellinger liked to quote an Aboriginal woman, she once, and I don't know who said this, it's just an anonymous person, this Aboriginal woman was speaking to an outsider, and she said, if you've come here to help me, I don't need it. If your struggle is bound up in mine, then let us work together. And I think that's just puts it all into clarity as to how we work together. And let's see, the melting pot experiment is failing. Well, Sandy, I'm trying to say that DAPL has proven that melting pot is working. We have this great victory today, and just going back a few seconds, rewind to the Aboriginal woman saying, I don't need your help. I need your struggle to be the same as mine. And coming together around the same issue, but being respectful of each other is the way forward. And that's exactly what happened in DAPL. And that's why I'm so happy, excited, pleased. I mean, it's nothing I did personally, except, come here and talk to you guys. But this is great. This is a great night for us. So, I'm forgetting best practices here. Has anyone here would like to say anything or comment before I close out? Please do subscribe to our YouTube. I probably will be doing this talk again tomorrow, and please try to share this with your friends and family. Sorry, I had a little technical glitch with the stream. It's getting to, it's a new workflow for us. Any suggestions, please do come on in the comments. All right. Let's see. I lived right by the Seneca Nation, and my daughter's boyfriend is a Native American, 13 years. So much respect for them. He is my son. Yep. That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Sandy. So, and thank you, Sandy and Melanie, for supporting me through this live stream. We here at RP are a team. Everyone's a real progressive who's watching. You're a real progressive. But we do, the organization RP. It's a great part. It's great to be a part of it. We work together. We support each other. Give each other moral encouragement. It's a nice thing to be a part of. And if you're seeking that, please do, message us in our inbox. We have, we're always looking for different subject matter experts, for just volunteers. We have a lot of things that aren't quite automated yet. I'm working on that, but in the meantime, we need a lot of help. So, and that's about it. Okay. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon. Good night.